Okay, I'm just going to make sure that it is actually public instead of the way that it normally comes up. Yep, it says friends only. So it's public now, so we can share this illumination session.
Awesome.
So welcome to anybody that's watching on the replay. As we're waiting for a few people to join us on the live, I'll just share that if this is your first time catching us, this is our illumination session that we've been doing on Mondays as part of our Radiant Evolution collective journey to share the wisdom that's coming through, the energy that's coming up right now, and how we're navigating it. Now, I'm Aurora Light. I'm a conscious creation and voice activation coach, and I also am the co-founder of the Radiant Evolution Collective. I'm here with Radiant Soul Nicole, who's co-founder and my co-pilot and a radiant evolutionary partner. And we are missing our dear friend Nina Infinity today, but it's still fun to just have a conversation about the solstice energies, how magical they are, how powerful they are, and what they've done for the two of us in the past, and also give you some information on how you can utilize these energies right now to maximum advantage. So I'm sure you've got that all shared up, Nicole. Now tell us just briefly, when you have a sec.
I'm good. My computer's like a little bit slow, but I'm all shared up now.
um, yeah, in case anyone's catching us for the first time, want to give them your brief intro?
Yeah. So I am Nicole. My superhero name is Radiant Soul Nicole, and I am a soul embodiment guide, an ecstatic dance facilitator, hmm, an intuitive who connects with Archangel Metatron a lot, as well as Gaia. Those are my two energies that I'm really tight with. And I am passionate about helping people drop out of the mind level into their heart so they can embody more of who they truly are and share that with the world.
I'm just breathing that in. It's all my passion as well. And so we love co creating things together, from retreats to the playground membership. And another super project that we're now working together on that we'll have more details about soon. But if you are a coach or facilitator or someone who wants to be, there's going to be something very interesting popping out soon for you. But right now, we're moving into one of my favorite times of the year. It happens twice a year. It's the solstice energy. For us in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the summer solstice, but it's also the winter solstice on the other side of the world. And if you're not super familiar with these energies, these 2 points of the year are where the light and dark are the most extremely polarized on the planet, and the equinoxes are when the light and dark are balanced. So in the summer solstice, we have our longest day, and it's the longest night during the winter solstice. And it's cool because they're both happening at the same time. Depending on where you are in the world, that's going to be your experience. And they're both really, really, really potent and powerful portals of energy that, for me and in my experience, allows us to go really, really, really deep into our hearts, especially on the winter solstice. That's a very inward one for me, where I experience like deep connection with the innermost desires of my heart. And we have this opportunity to plant seeds for what it is that we want to create. And on the summer solstice, it feels like I have a deeper connection to my highest self and more of my multidimensional self, and more of that energy is pulled through, and it feels a little bit more like an outward coming in experience. But in reality, both of these things are the same, because whether we expand out as far as we can go or expand into our hearts as deep as we can go, we're actually meeting in the same place, that quantum field. Just just a different perception of it. What else do you want to just share about the solstice itself? How do you experience these energies?
Mm. Another way that I kind of think about it too is like it's like the like a full moon and a new moon. So a full moon right now in the summer solstice would be like expansive and that same kind of energy, but it's just like 2 points in the year. And I'm kind of envisioning, I don't know if I can describe this, but like a little like a little thread between each of the new moons and the full moons, but then there's like this big overarching one between the solstices, and there's just different like cycles of the year, and then it'll all make like this beautiful sacred geometry if you're able to draw it all out and see what you can see in my mind. So there's kind of similarities around that, but yeah, also the same as like they're very sacred times. And often, though, I really like put a lot of attention in the winter solstice. And this time of year is just like this fractal explosion of light because it's like the light, it's like this dancing energy and it's like harder to contain. And in Canada, where it's such a celebration to have the light for so long because we have the darkness for so long as well, it is like this time of year when everyone scatters and goes off and like enjoys the summer and this like high vibe frequency energy just because we are getting so much more light in our physical experience. And I'm also feeling that like so much light is just flowing in, codes are flowing in, raining down. And in my meditation today, the message that I got was to, for me and for anybody else that feels the call, to come into 0 point often so that you can come into that still point and receive all of this information that's coming through and be able to embody it and integrate it a little bit because it can be quite intense potentially. I mean, both solstices are intense, but the light feels a little bit more intense to me. And yeah, it's just coming into nature also was a message that I got to so that we can like light ground this light and then getting that this also for the planet to bring these codes down into the earth and into Gaia. So we're kind of like a channel to do that. And yeah, it's just a really lovely time to celebrate as well, celebrate your connections, celebrate everything that's happened in the past 6 months, whether that was positive or negative. It's all neutral, but we put our emotions and feelings onto it. And I think back to like, there were some really hard times. January threw me for a loop this year, and I like spent most of the month not being able to acclimatize to the energies. And yet I'm so grateful for it because it, taught me a lot. And I learned that I sometimes need to put a little bit of extra momentum rather than just allowing myself to feel the feelings, but we still need to do that. And I also think I spent more time getting stuck in it than I needed to because I wasn't building that extra momentum that I needed. So yeah, I'm grateful for it all. And I'm grateful for, all the fun, expansive light stuff that came through too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is full on. This year is still rolling. There is huge extremes, big waves. We're navigating it as best we can. And those of us that are watching, I'm guessing, are the ones that have at least some ability to have the perspective of it's happening for us, even when the stuff is crazy. The world itself is not necessarily reflecting all of the light that's pouring in right now energetically, right? Or in part maybe it is, and that light is shaking out all of the stuff that's remained hidden for so long. And so there's chaos because everything is being illuminated. Nothing is allowed to stay hidden under the shadows. And for people who haven't done a lot of that inner work and the reflections and all of the getting really solid, doing your shadow work, getting centered, knowing how to find your still point, it's going to feel really chaotic. And there are people that are going into all kinds of crazy projection. There's a lot of victim mentality that's coming out. There's a lot of people that are speaking really, I want to say, attacking kind of things to people that are standing in their integrity. I personally know of 5 or 6 like leaders, thought leaders, people that I know have amazing integrity being called out by other people for being basically bad because they're triggering them, right? There's a lot of triggering and projection happening right now. And from the witness perspective, you can go, oh, wow, that person is bringing up unhealed stuff in the person that's doing the attacking. But that if you're in that space of fight or flight, all you see is somebody that is triggering something in you that makes you feel unsafe and wounded, and then you're lashing out, and it's their fault, as opposed to being able to be in that reflective state of, okay, this person is triggering something in me, so I'm going to look within, right? There's the two polarities right now. I'm also seeing a lot of beautiful light leaders who are going, oh, I'm being triggered. I'm going to look deep, deep within. And they're asking me, I'm not seeing it. What is this thing? What am I not seeing about myself? And I get to go, this isn't actually you. This isn't you right now. This is you being a mirror for that person. And your blinding light is basically just too bright for them. And it's showing them something that they're not ready to see yet, or they haven't examined yet. So, like, the blinding light is uncomfortable. And I always say light is not love, right? Love is love, and love can be fierce and everything like that. But light itself is information. And I think there's love attached to it, but light can be an asshole, right? Light can hurt your eyes. It can blind you. Light is like literally sometimes a laser that can burn through things. It's a really powerful transformative tool, but it doesn't always feel good to have things illuminated so thoroughly. So we want to dive a little bit further into the light of the solstice energy and what can come up, what's come up for us, and everything like that. But we want to honor wherever you're at. If it's hurting your eyes right now because it's just too much, get it. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. So sometimes it's okay to close your eyes, spend some time internally, get into that 0 point, like Nicole was saying, which is just really diving deep into your center. And the deeper you go into your center, the quieter it gets, right? When you go through all of the layers of stuff that isn't you, the programs, the mental chatter, all of that, and you dive so deep that you find the still point, the perfectly placid lake that is inside of us, that is the all that is, right? And in that space, you can breathe, you can relax, your body can start to unwind some of the tension that comes through that. If you can't find that still point right now, if it's too hard to take a couple breaths and find it because you're all in fight or flight, you might need to shake it out. You might need to move. You might need to yell. You might need to sing and create and sweat and cry before you can get to that space. So it's not always as simple as just going, find your 0 point of stillness when all of the light is pouring in and your body's like, it's too much. So I'm wound up just talking about it. Let's all take a breath together. In through your nose, fill up your belly, and sigh it out. If you've practiced enough, that can be all it takes to get back into that space. But sometimes we have to move more.
It reminds me of last year at the solstice, summer solstice, when I was on vacation. I was at a beautiful rental property with my family, and we actually had a one-on-one session. And you're like, how are you doing today? And you pulled a card that you're like, I don't understand why I pulled this card. And then you talk to me. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but like, I am just not in a good mood. That's like exactly what we were talking about. Like, that light was coming in, and it was showing a lot that was really deep, that needed to be healed and felt. And I wasn't able to do it on my own. Like, on my own, I was just kind of in that, like, oh, I don't feel good. I don't understand why I don't feel good, because I should feel good because I'm on vacation and it's beautiful outside and I'm in the woods and all of this stuff. And, I actually illuminated some really, like, deep stuff that was not in my awareness, but I could feel it, how it was being expressed on the outer layers of my reality. And so we went in and did some pretty deep, like, yeah, father healing. And um, it was very, yeah, sometimes you just need that extra support. So I guess this is a call to say out, if you feel like you're stuck and you um, can't move through something on your own and you're not sure what's going on, reach out for support. You may need a session with somebody like Aurora, or whoever else might be resonating with you at the time. But sometimes, um, yeah, sometimes you just need some additional support beyond what you can do on your own, and that's completely okay because we can't move through everything on our own. We need help sometimes. We can't always see our own blind spots or what's there, and getting that extra bit of help will help you move through, shake things out so you can start to come back into that 0 point, into that stillness, to find the gratitude for what's happening. And sometimes it's harder than others.
Yeah, that's why it's really important right now to have community. And I mean, coaches and mentors are a really amazing resource if you are able to invest in having someone. Um, I've got several. I've got several people that I have devoted time with that support me so I can support other people, right? Just because you know how to do this stuff for other people doesn't mean that you don't need it for you. So we can fall into that trap sometimes of, oh, I'm a light worker, I'm a healer, I'm a coach, I'm a energy worker. I should be able to do this on my own. No, no, destroy and uncreate all of that right now. You are not here to do it on your own. We are a team and we have codes and information for each other, and we can be mirrors for each other because it is really difficult, especially when we're spinning in that everything is too much and I just don't get it energy. We can't see clearly because we don't have access to our intuition, to our logic, to our reason, right? It takes sometimes someone else holding that space and shining that light for you to do the work that we can't on our own, and that the best coaches and the best healers aren't doing it for you. It's literally that holding a space, holding up a mirror, asking really great questions. And some of us are able to also do some magic of like tapping into the higher self and the multidimensional self and pulling out some things to look at. But just having someone hold you with their awareness and their love in a non-judgmental way can be all we need to work through something really big, right? And we're like, oh, why was that so much easier with you? Because that's how we were designed to play.
Yeah, and I love the piece that you said about multidimensionality too, because it wasn't something on this like 3D realm that was bothering me. It was much deeper than that. When we were accessing, yeah, like the highest self. And, in our sessions, we access all sorts of interesting multidimensional support. So, um, and I've been learning as I go through, my own healing, and as we connect in with the Akashic records and all these things. It can be like past lives, and there's so many different aspects, and sometimes things don't make sense here, and that's when you get those other codes and those pieces of information. We can call on that multidimensionality that is a part of us that we don't necessarily see on our own, but it's so important in our healing. And if something's coming up over and over again and you're not sure why, it might not just be something from like this lifetime right here right now. It's deeper. There's something else, and having somebody to help you explore that is so powerful.
That's really key. Some of you might not actually know this. Right now, we're not just healing this lifetime. We are healing like all of it right now. We're healing, oh, what is it? Jason Estes, who we love referencing, says the last 9,000 years are being brought up to heal. Other people that I work with, like Caitlin Scott of Healers Rising, is talking about all of the bardos being collapsed right now, and we're in the process of healing all of our Akashic records. And I've heard that over and over about, the Akashics are actually collapsing right now because we are moving into a higher frequency, and they really are no longer necessary, right? A lot of what was holding us into these old programs and patterns is actually collapsing and won't be a thing anymore. But if you would like to navigate this with more grace and ease, instead of waiting for it to happen to you, for everything to collapse, for things to be healed, we can take an active role in that healing process And for a lot of us, a lot of epigenetic and generational familial work is coming up too. So we're not always just healing our own stuff or
Mm.
past life stuff, but our ancestral lineage, right? Cleaning that all up. And so no wonder it's sometimes really intense and it's sometimes really hard. And in the solstice energy points, a lot of times things that are not just from now are coming up to be illuminated. And when they're being illuminated, they're saying, hey, I'm next up for some love, for some compassion, and for some healing. So if weird things are popping up for you, instead of stuffing them down and being like, that seems irrelevant to what I'm trying to create right now, it doesn't matter if you're trying to like work on your business, create something new, do like some art and all of that. If you've got something that's popping up and it feels like it's like in your way, the fastest way to create what it is that you're wanting to create is through that trigger. Through healing that, you're going to all of a sudden have all of this space available to create and focus on the thing that you want. So if it's coming up, deal with that first. Deal with what is right in front of you. I oftentimes have people that come into sessions and they're like, I really want to work on my business today, but there's this thing and it's really bugging me, but I don't want to waste our session on that. So what we do is we go in and we look at that. We look at that thing, whether it's an interpersonal relationship or something small, and we do all of the work to clear it, heal it, love it, shift our perspective on it. And then all of a sudden, it's like poof, the golden road to what it is that we want to create just appears. And it's like, oh, now I know what to do to take the next steps in my business, even though we spent 90% of the session on healing that annoying thing that seemed like it was irrelevant. It's never irrelevant. It's all weaving together for us.
Hmm. Yeah, and I feel like so like talking about solstice and the light, I feel like so much light is coming in. It's bringing up to the surface. It's because we're trying to become less dense. It's that's clearing the density. So whatever's coming up is just like, oh hey, this is what we get to work on now. This is what we get to work on now. And that density is being cleared so we can bring in more of the light and embody more of that. And that's really like the process of, we're not really becoming anything. We're just unbecoming all the things that we're not so we can remember who we truly are.
Just breathing all that in, winding it back to what's happening for us, even if we don't fully understand how, but that's exactly it, right? And yes, we're doing so much letting go. A lot of things are falling away, that old stuff that doesn't serve, but all of that is creating space for us to step into more of who we actually are, right? Weaving together all of these pieces very multidimensionally. And the solstice is a great portal to bring through aspects, gifts, things from your past selves, other parallel lives, even future lives. Like I always find that I have this accessibility to my multidimensional self in a way that I don't always. It's really powerful. And like downloads, streams of information will come through. In meditations, I'm able to like astrally travel to visit other aspects of me or communicate with them quite a bit more than I am regularly. So being able to create the spaces for yourself, like Nicole was saying, in stillness, in 0 point, outside, in meditation, is going to be really supportive right now.
Yeah, and you have a really interesting story about when you created some space and received some information in Solstice 2 years ago. So if people don't know, tell them about that because it is pretty incredible.
Okay, that's thank you for asking. Because yeah, it was really powerful, and I've been more reminded of this as we're coming into the solstice. So the summer of 2019, I started really connecting more with those other aspects of self, with that other information, and it felt like I just was receiving downloads of information, and it came to a place where I was just opening to receive whatever was next. And it was very immediate that it was time to make a move. And this was not like news to me because it was relating to my business. And I had known for a few years that I was going to need to expand and grow from my previous business, Dancing into Being, Movement Arts and Healing, which was a dream business. I used to teach movement arts, flow arts, and I would weave together other things, the mindset, the magic. We'd do sacred dance. I got to weave all of my favorite things into an abundant business, teaching everyone from kids to adults how to connect in with their highest self in alignment and then express it through movement. But I knew that I had to shift things to create more of a global stage, and that I needed to step more into like the spiritual realms and stop just like infusing it into my work and really make it the primary thing that I was doing. I'd known this ever since I was about 8 years old, but I kept ignoring it, kept coming back to it as a that's a future thing, right? Because it scared me. It scared the bejesus out of me. I was still running a lot of that witch wounding programming of it's not safe to be super magical and super spiritual and speak really clearly about all of these wonderful experiences that I have, the connection to spirit that I have. I would show the crystal loving, oracle card reading, hula hooping, magical being that I was. And that was weird enough, right? But there was also the like talking to aliens and aspects of myself and having voyages around the universe and connecting with, people who passed on, all of that stuff. I was afraid to share that. I was afraid to also speak my authentic truth and share my voice and step into the role of more of like a visible leader, I guess. And then, yeah, the download was just, it's time. It's time to pivot everything. And I was also told, without getting the how or the why, that I needed to switch my business to entirely online and to stop working with kids, which I had shifted into focusing on primarily, and start working exclusively with adults and hold space for the spiritual transformation that was going to be coming up. And I was supposed to start with one-on-one work, then some group programs like online courses. But the information that was coming through was saying, don't worry, eventually it'll all come back around with retreats and you'll be able to weave together everything you love. But for now, just shift it all. And that was the beginning of the solstice of the summer of 2019. And then I kind of went into this really interesting void space over the summer. I decided to barely work and just really take time to figure out what that would look like and who I was, what it should be, what I should create. And I needed that downtime and that space to let more information flow in and to let those downloads sink into my expression. And then I had to really take some time to try some different things out. And it took a lot of steps before what I'm doing now was birthed. But I started working with business coaches, figuring out how I could bring a business online, figuring out what I could do. I even changed my name. That's when Aurora Light was born. And my little tiny baby step towards joy evolution and radiant evolution came through as Aurora Awakening. And that was going to be the business I put forward. I got the domain name. I got all of the design work done. I put up the website, and then I continued with the process. I set my notice in with all the contracts I was doing and retired from teaching. I was going to retire at the end of that school year because I was doing a lot of work in schools. And so I had set all the plans into motion, even though I didn't know why. I continued investing in like business coaches, and I started really getting clear on how I was going to work one-on-one with people. And then when I had like 20 days left of doing my in-person workshops and stuff, fulfilling the destiny that I had, like done from the last year, COVID hit, everything in person was canceled. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I get it now. I get why I was told to do all of this stuff, even though I had no idea why. I had followed the steps, and I was so grateful to myself for actually taking the aligned action based on those intuitive downloads, because everything was in place. I was going to be done in 20 days. And then all of a sudden, COVID accelerated my plans, and I just had this space. And I grieved for the classes that I wasn't going to teach. But then all of these one-on-one clients just like flooded into me. And I'm like, oh, this is what I was training for. This is what I was waiting for. This is what I was told about. The really big catalytic event for a spiritual awakening is happening now with this pandemic. So I listened and I took aligned action, and I'm super grateful. But even if I hadn't listened, at least I would have been prepared. Right. So I want to give myself credit that I did listen, but even if we don't listen to the downloads we get, it's at least planting seeds and preparing us mentally. So, I mean, you get to do what you want with the information. It's better to take aligned action, but you're going to do with it what you will. I want to share my story because it prepared me in a really lovely way.
Yeah, and if anyone's listening and they're still like, oh, I'm getting this information, yet I'm still scared, that's okay. It's totally normal to be scared. And I want to share kind of my experience from like the last solstice till now. And because I feel like it kind of ties into that being scared and like not wanting, yeah, just being scared to take that leap of faith. And so, like I said, last summer solstice, I was kind of feeling like, not very good. We had that session, it did clear out space. And at the time, though, I want to know the answer. What is it I'm supposed to do? I was like, I want the information. And I didn't receive it as clearly as like, do these things as you had. I was told, wait until the end of July and you will get the information you need. So I could have chose to like be like, okay, I'm just gonna surrender now because I don't need to worry. I'm told like I'm gonna get this information at the end of July. But I did not do that. So I carried around a lot of anxiety and like this kind of energy of like trying to fight against what was. And I'm like, well, maybe if I try hard, I'll get the information. I didn't surrender. And then I just made it more difficult for myself. But at the end of July, guess what happened? I got this huge download of you're supposed to make a journal. And it it all felt so aligned. I felt so good in my body. I think like I was at a way better space physically. I felt more like in harmony, like we talked about last week, all my, my body, mind, heart, and soul, and all the elements and everything. It was the right time and everything came through. And, since then I've done little things where I brought journals into different aspects into our playground. I brought our year end 2021 visioning and 2020 release ceremony. And I still have big visions to actually create one that can be, for a full year. And I'm still working on it, but that information felt so potent and it came through like it said it was going to come through. So that was like a big lesson in surrender and trust for me. And then throughout this past 6 months period, I think the biggest pivots that I've had and biggest shifts that have come through is also in that trust and surrender and being able to so we live in northern climate and it doesn't really become spring here until like sometime in May where everything starts to bloom, where it actually feels like spring, not just on the calendar, but it feels like spring. And I went away for the weekend and I came home and everything had bloomed. And I'm like, oh, nature blooms when it's meant to bloom. I don't need to rush the process. It's all gonna happen. And I really felt like this huge sense of surrender and I really dropped into faith that I don't need to worry and rush. And I've been trying to like, again, like having trying to force things. I know that doesn't work yet. I still try to do it sometimes. And seeing that, I'm like, oh, nature blooms when it's ready. I will too. I don't need to worry. And since then, I've been like, just in this really deep surrender and trust that everything's unfolding as it's supposed to. And like, since then, I have manifested a beautiful job that I'm so excited to be working with you right away and creating some really amazing things, doing things that I love and like uh, supporting you is also super important because I know you have this like huge mission on this world in this world and mine isn't as clear but I do feel like it's a supportive role. Like I'm here to help you do the big things and getting so many tingles and eventually we can um, lead retreats again and do so many amazing things. So being able to have that experience and that proof of like that evidence of surrendering is you're gonna be okay is such a huge thing to actually be able to trust. and have that faith in that you are supported. Because sometimes it's pretty effing scary to, just take that big leap of like, okay, I guess I'll take my business online. I don't know why, and follow that huge shift. And, sometimes we just need to have these little baby steps. Well, actually, always, we just need to do the next right thing that's in front of us, take that aligned action. And I honestly believe it's all going to work out. And we just need to look to nature to remind us of that.
Yeah. The natural realm has so much wisdom to teach us about all of these processes. And I love everything that you're saying, and it's planting a lot of seeds. So I feel like I want to start to talk about this because it works so perfectly. Yeah, I wasn't given the why to do all of the steps. It was like, do this and be in faith, be in trust, start building your business online, and the actions will create clarity, right? Like I found, especially some of my clients will be like going, but I don't know how. I don't know how. And it's like, yeah, because you're waiting for the how to be dropped out of the heavens. And that's almost never how it happens. You know, we get the bigger picture of what, and the how comes as we start taking those, right? We start taking the steps. And if we surrender the how, we take a little bit of action, and then the universe is like, oh, good, you're doing the thing. So here's the next piece, and here's the opportunity, and here's the collaborators, here is the abundance, right? And it starts to come the more that we do trust. So we are never going to get that full clarity of every piece of the puzzle before we start to take the steps. Because what would be the point? If you had your route planned out for you, you saw every step, you knew it was going to happen along the way, like why would we even bother? It would be too easy. And we came here, we came to Earth to play the game on hard mode. So different pieces of the puzzle have been dropping in for me ever since 2019, right? The one-on-one sessions, check. Created a few cool courses like my next level manifestation course. I co-created the playground with Nicole, our membership. And I've run a few other group programs, doing something called Evolve right now. But I was like, what is the thing? There's something bigger, and I don't know what it is yet, but there's something coming, and I could just feel it. I could see it, and it was kind of hazy last September. So about a year ago, just shy of 9 months ago, actually, I got this, oh, I'm going to create a certification program. But I didn't know how, because I don't really have that really detail-minded skill set. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, all the PDFs and the step-by-step, but I was like, universe, this is feeling like it's coming from you, so I'm going to declare it. I declared it in front of a room full of my Queen's Council mastermind. I'm going to do a certification program next year, but I don't know how that's going to happen. And 9 months after I declared that, all of a sudden an opportunity dropped into my lap from something that I had co-created, or not co-created, I had taken about a decade ago with one of my mentors, Lisa Michaels. And so I'm going to be utilizing all of the gooey amazingness that she shared with me and co-creating a certification program for coaches and facilitators to coach one-on-one, to do group programs, to do workshops, and to facilitate retreats, even online and in person. I get to add my own magic to it. And Nicole's going to help me with that. We're going to be launching more information about that over the coming months. But I just wanted to share that story, not only to plant seeds in case you've got a soul yes to this, look out for that coming. But we had a vision long ago to do more than just that one retreat that we did together years ago. We were like, we want to co-create more together, but we don't exactly know how. But we just set that intention out there and we trusted. And the creativity of the universe brought us more like threads together in more perfect ways than we ever could have really imagined on our own. And I think that's important to mention. The co-creation right now is the absolute highest thing that we can do because we're not supposed to be doing it together, right? we each have our own zones of genius. The ones that I have are not necessarily the ones that Nicole has, and vice versa. She's a boss, event planner, and detail person, and I'm more at that like big picture visionary, and I have no idea how to do the thing. Or rather, like I could, but I don't want to. I don't want to sit with the minutia and figure it out. Like, but that actually is something that you're fabulous at, and I think it lights you up, right? The actual creation of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if somebody's got like the bigger picture of it and I can see the vision, I'm like, okay, do. When I'm in a line space, like everything just locks in and I'm like, okay, we got to do this and this and this and this and this. And yeah, we work so well together that way. So I'm so excited to be able to support you and also doing stuff on my own. And like, it makes sense. It feels like I don't really, I need somebody to give me the bigger vision, and that's totally okay. And I think I judged myself for that before of like, but not everybody does that. Like, I do have my own special gifts, and I'm so excited to be able to bring so many of my talents and stuff that I've spent my corporate career developing. Like, I think a lot of people, if they're wanting to shift from corporate to their own thing, it can be like you feel like you're maybe not doing what you're supposed to do, but that's giving you so much experience that you can bring into your next life. So I'm so grateful that I planned like so many events in my old job and had to do all this, detail work and stuff because it's given me so many skills that are helpful now. And I get to expand on that and like do design and creative stuff that I didn't get to do, but I love. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and I don't think we could ever have imagined it, though we visualized doing more retreats together. But the rest of it, like this was the universal level bringing us the thing that would be even better than what we imagined. And I'm just noticing Danielle was saying 9 months, it's almost like giving birth to that program. Yeah, and when I look back to the like, given the directive of create my business online, it was 9 months from that time as well. So um, to the springtime before everything happened. And that's kind of what happens when we get really into alignment. We'll notice that we start to be creating and manifesting and working with the seasonal cycles and the wheel of the year. And that's because we came to this planet to create and manifest in the physicality, in this on this planet, instead of just in the mental and causal realms where we can be like, make a planet, right? Like, boom, instantly, like things happen because we're beyond time. But when we're playing in time and in this density, then we have to go through the process of like having the dream, having the idea, planting the seeds, then watering it, taking care of it, weeding it, and doing all of that. And it is an organic process that, like Nicole was saying, we can't rush, right? It's a whole process. And that's why I'm really excited because we're bringing back, especially through the certification program, more work with the natural rhythms and the realms of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit as an archetypal structure to support us in coming into wholeness, but also coming into alignment with the rhythms and the cycles of nature, which is honestly one of the most powerful things we can do for manifesting and creating, but also for all of us like star seeds, magical, universal, galactic beings. It's really powerful and potent because it helps us take our galactic magic that's way up here, the all that we are, and bring it down into earth in a rooted way that allows us to manifest and create in the way that makes sense on this planet without skipping steps, right? So this is, I think, what helped me how to human when I started learning this stuff a decade ago. And it really helped me learn how to be a powerful manifestor and creator and work with my intuition and the wheel of the year, sometimes even subconsciously, so that I could create not one, but like two businesses that have lit me up and allowed me to fuse all my gifts together and create way more abundance than I would have dreamed possible, right? It's just magic to start to really sink into what we actually have around us on this planet instead of trying to force our way through, but to work with the elements of creation that are all around us.
Yeah, like so much yes to all of that. I think any of the times thinking back in my life when I've kind of like started my awakening journey, I wanted everything right now. And I didn't have that sense of like, I didn't have that, yeah, sense of the waiting, the physical manifestation, things happen in time and all of that stuff. And I probably wanted it to be winter, or sorry, summer when it was winter. And like, right, we can't have that all the time. Even today, I was like in my 0 point meditation, feeling so just alive and abundant and juicy and it feels so good. I'm like, oh, I want this. I'm going to project this out into December. And I'm like, oh, wait, I can have this energy, but I have to remember that it's going to be a different season of the year then. So I can feel this way, but it's not going to be as ripe for maybe creation at that time. So I'm still even learning this. I'm excited to actually be able to embrace that even more as I go forward in my life because I think it'll just make everything so much easier. Like I said, when I realized everything blooms when it's supposed to, it just took all that pressure away of me trying to force things.
I'm just breathing that in. And that is the thing. Like, yes, we're agents of creation. Yes, we're magical beings. And yes, we're part of that same stuff that created the sun and the moon and the stars. And there is the physicality that happens in our creation process. And the surrender and trust is one of the most powerful tools that we can have. So, yes, manifestation can be instant and quantum, but also creating big shifts and changes, it takes freaking time because we have to do it step by step. We have to grow into it because if we don't grow into these dreams, like say, if I just had this like full business and its full expression dropped into my lap back in 2 years ago, it would have been overwhelming, right? I would have been like this tiny little sapling trying to hold up this giant house, right? Instead of growing into the tree that could hold it with the branches open wide. So if we were to have things manifest instantly, like most likely they wouldn't last. I think it's the same principle as why most lottery winners go broke within like a year or two, right? Because they're not learning how to hold that kind of energy, that much currency, that much wealth, right? But when we grow into things and we take the aligned action steps, then we're able to energetically hold it in a different way. So when you're receiving these like downloads of your dreams or things maybe you're going to create that might come through over the solstice, let's take a breath and have some patience with it. And know that even if you don't know the how, even if you don't know the timeline, if you just keep trusting yourself in that surrendered way, taking whatever aligned action is right in front of you, step by step, more clarity will come, more tools will come. Even if you take what seems like a branch off in the wrong direction, it's not. It's that you needed to go and pick up some codes and probably even fail, right? Make some mistakes because that's where you're learning the most. And then you go back to the main path. So it's a process. I also just wanted to speak into the fact that for many of us, especially those that were consciously like planting seeds at the winter solstice, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you might actually be starting to see the fruits of that now, right? The summer solstice is where that energy of what you plant is starting to like break through and bloom. And then over the next 3 cross-quarter points and the equinox, basically, Luna said in I want to say July, August. I think the date moves around a little bit. The equinox and Samhain, those are the harvesting times, the harvest festivals with this time. And you're going to actually be able to really more like reap some of the things that you've been sowing. So it doesn't come instantly, right? There's that organic time. And then we get back to the some winter solstice on the other side and we start planting the more seeds for what we're going to create over the following year. So, yeah, how can people really, I think, beyond just going to the 0 point, utilize this energy in a way that's going to support them, Nicole?
Hmm. This is a really good time to look back at, like, the past 6 months of your life, connect with what we really loved, what worked, what felt really good,
Mm.
connect with what didn't as well, and, try to find gratitude for it all and connect with the feelings, though. That's the most important thing. Connecting with those feelings and setting the intentions to bring those feelings into your life, because if we're that's what the universe responds to, is the feelings that we're feeling. And you can start even being more like practicing gratitude every day for how those feelings are showing up in your life, and that just creates upward momentum. It creates more, it brings it out into the physical, and you can bring it you know bring it out into over the next 6 months and beyond. Because I know that I want to feel thriving, I want to feel flow, connection, and bliss. Those are my core desired feelings. And every day I look at my life, I'm like, oh my God, I have to pinch myself. I'm like, is this really my life, that I get to go for a walk in the forest every day, and the work that I do lights me up, and I have so much freedom and space, and like, more of this, please. And it doesn't need to be, I'm not thinking of like, I know that I'm wanting to create more of my own offerings and stuff like that. And I don't even need to, I'm not even like feeling into like what specifically it is I'm going to be teaching and sharing and stuff. I just want more of this feeling in my life. And the more that I have gratitude, I can even get myself like more uplifted thinking about it as I'm talking about it. And then setting that intention to like, this is how I want to feel in different areas of my life. And I know that there might be some growing pains along the way, because I have to let go of some things that are preventing me from expanding into this. So there's going to be some more pain, some more difficulty, some more letting go, but I'm really able to allow myself to be in those spaces, but as they arise, and know like, oh, hey, I need some healing. This needs some attention. Give myself some space to feel that, to heal it, to do whatever I need to do to let it go. And then I can expand even more. So these like little bits of contraction lead to more expansion. And yeah, it all, I just can't even imagine what my life is going to be like in 6 months or 9 months from now as these new seeds are planted.
Mhm.
What's your recommendation, invitation?
First off, I was just breathing all of that in. Thank you for reminding us that it's the feeling first, and it's those feelings that we want to create. So if you are wanting to set intention with feelings this solstice, focus on that rather than on the doing, because we're inverting the matrix right now, right? And flipping from doing first and then I'll have, then I'll be, to being first because you already have, and then you do from that place. And then everything is just so much faster. So, yeah, I think spending some time sitting in the expression of who you fully are, like at the core, what is your multidimensional self and your unique soul essence signature feel like? For me, when I'm in that place, I feel so free and so expansive and so creative and so joyful and uplifted that I love being in that energy of all of me. And then what seems to happen for me, especially on solstice, is more energy that supports that drops in, right? I would say focus on the being, but then also declare your intention of, I'm ready to receive more information. I'm ready to receive more downloads. I'm ready to connect with more of who I really am. And then just open to it. And if you're like, that actually feels really scary to me, all you have to set intention for is, I would like to be open. So I'm setting intention to be more open rather than setting intention that you already are open to receive, if that distinction makes sense, right? Because when we get into that space of opening to receive more of who we really are, then the magic starts to come through. But if we're feeling resistant to it because there's too much, like too much of that light, and our energy is just all squished up and hiding from it, we're like this hard shell and nothing can get in. So I would say go through what I would call joyful alchemy. It's 3 steps. These are the pillars I teach in all my courses and with all my clients. Transform the density first. If that's through movement, shaking, toning, crying, doing belief repatterning, like whatever, EFT, tapping, hypnosis, there's a billion ways you can do it. And from that clearer space, then connect with that higher self and open to receive. Then whatever comes through, take the aligned action that supports more of that feeling, right? If you're getting this vision about being like creating something, like me creating this online business, it was like, okay, who do I have to be to create that? That version of me that already exists in the future that has this online business, how does she show up? What does she do? You know, for me, that looked like doing more meditation, taking more time for myself, and hiring a business coach. Right? So you transform, then you activate that connection, and then you embody it through your aligned action and your beingness.
And I've worked with you now for the past year and a quarter doing that. And look how I've been talking about how amazing my life is because I've done all of that transformation, that activation, that embodiment, and it's been so amazing. So I highly recommend that process.
Oh, thanks for that plug. Yeah, I really honestly think it's how I've been able to do literally anything and everything in my life. And it's how I've been able to teach people how to do anything. It kind of is the 3-step process to creation in alignment with your highest self and your highest trajectory. So if you're like, okay, that sounds great, but how? You can either message me or take a look at any of my programs, the self-study ones, or in the playground, we go through how we can do that. Next level manifestation is actually a great one. It's on my website, joyevolution.com, under courses. And it's going through that process so you can connect with your highest self, dream into, visualize, open to receive what the most aligned thing for you to be and do is, and then take the steps to create and do it. So yeah, there's so much energy right now, wherever you're at, no matter what step of the process you're at. It's all perfect. It's all divine. Just continue taking very good care of yourself. Immerse yourself in you right now, right? All that you are. Don't worry about other people. Don't worry about the external world. Please. It is not going to reflect what's happening energetically, right? It is a lot of chaos, a lot of things still dismantling, because you and I and everyone watching this, we're a little ahead of the curve being able to tap into what's happening energetically in real time as opposed to what is physicalizing in the world right now, because the physical is always a few steps behind. So please don't get too consumed with what's happening in the outer realms. This is your time to go within and even like up, connect in alignment with yourself. Heck, you can go down to the crystal caves of creation and Gaia, just be on your axis and focus on you. What is feeling right and true for you? What do you want more of? What are you open to receiving, right? Like be selfish, be focused on self so that you can navigate this really interesting, intense time, right? The solstice and the eclipse passages and portals and all that is happening right now on the planet. And just because you also deserve some time to focus on yourself, right? It is the least selfish thing you can do. It allows you to then go ahead and do the things that are in most alignment with you, that you came here to do and to co-create. Co-create, not on your own, with either people, with Team Humanity, with Gaia, with the new energy on the planet. You don't have to do it all yourself.
Yeah, and if you want to have a community to do it with, we invite you to come and join us in the playground because really what we are doing in that's our monthly membership. We are, bringing all of these practices to help you integrate and embody and be able to bring all this multidimensionality, all of this spirituality into your daily life through like all of our monthly ceremonies. I guess we have 2 ceremonies each month. We have a whole growing library of activations, light language activations, meditations, soul journeys, all these practices and tools that you can bring into your life, daily if you wanted to, and be able to mm, pull all these elements of creation together like we've been talking about, because everything we do fits into that. It fits into your joyful alchemy program. And also, my own pillars of love, explore, and align are infused in there as well. And yeah, it's just this really great opportunity to bring it all together.
That's what my theme that came through for this week was. It's like multidimensionally weave together all that you are into one beautiful braided thread of just like gold strands of light is what's coming through when I picture and visualize it, right? All of this letting go of everything that we've done over the last like 2 years or lifetimes is leaving all this space for us to be more of who we actually are. And it's time for that, right? It's time to stop leaving parts of us behind, parts of us that maybe we left behind, like dreams, parts of us that we forgot about, like our creative expression, like maybe like singing, drawing, dancing. Maybe it's the part of us that is really silly and just likes to like read and chill out. Like all of these facets of you that are who you really are get to come forward and through now in conjunction also with pulling through all of the wisdom and the gifts that you've gotten in this life, but also you have access to all these other lives right now. So if you are a multidimensional explorer, you could also set the intention to see like what can come through from other lives, past, present, future, to support you in this life, because this is a pinnacle lifetime right now, right? This is where we're elevating the consciousness of the planet and shifting so much. So it's okay, and again, not selfish, to ask to pull forward all of the gifts of all of the lessons and all of the things that you had learned so that we can do the things we came here to do.
Love that. I am going to do that for myself.
Yeah, it's a super fun process. You can do it by yourself in meditations and things like that, just by setting intention and kind of seeing what comes forward. Let your imagination run wild, right? For this kind of process, it's okay to make it up, because let's say worst case scenario, you're totally making it up and you're not really in your akashics and you're just making stuff up. It's still part of you. It's still gifts that you have inherently that you could be pulling forward, because you are a fractal of the entire universe who has everything that you need within you, right? You can pull those things forward. So if it's coming up in your imagination, it's in you, it's for you, and you can just let it be what it is.
Breathe that in.
Yeah, and I'll just also say one more plug for the playground. Last week we did this really amazing ceremony where we connected with our inner rainbow star child, the creative spark of divinity that exists within us. That's not the wounded inner child, but like the most divine part of us that is the most connected to the universe. So we activated that connection more deeply, and that creative spark of us is the one that is still connected with all of those gifts. It's the one that's still connected with the all that is in a really profound and deep way. So that's a journey worth exploring and coming to play, because when we are relaxed enough, our nervous system is open, we're calm, and we are holding space for that inner rainbow star child to come out and play and create. Again, that's where the magic happens, right? They are the embodiment of the all that is. Ooh, yay!
There's my drawing interpretation of my own rainbow star child. Why that was hard to say. And just so much, oof, so much energy. That was such a beautiful ceremony and so magical. Such great energy. If you're wanting to tap into that more playful part of yourself and understand even who that is, highly recommend you come and join us. I'm going to be leading a dance party in the playground tomorrow. Nina is leading a solstice meditation later this week. Next week, there's another light language activation and then laughter yoga. And then, of course, you get access to all of the replays of everything else we've ever done in the past 6 months, or a little bit more than 6 months in there. So
Mm,
much value for what it is.
I love that. I love that drawing. And mine is downstairs, but I just have to say mine was more like actually a person. Like I drew my inner rainbow star child and she had this hair and like a star on her chest. And my 5-year-old looked at it and said, "Is that me?" I was like, "It's totally you. Yes, my little starfire,
Mhm.
you're the expression of that radiant inner rainbow star child who can do and be and create whatever you want to create." So with that energy, we will say it's been super delightful to come and play. I just love having these chats, Nicole. Thank you so much for just like holding space for me to share and allowing me to hold space for you while you share. And I'm really hoping that people receive some value from the transmissions that came through. And if you do some of these practices, let us know how it goes. Leave it in the comments. You can come back to it. You can message us. You can email us, and just let us know how your solstice goes. We'll be back next week. This time it'll be me with Nina Infinity, as Nicole will be out on beautiful vacation celebrating her anniversary. And yeah, we'll just keep chatting. And until then, have yourself a beautiful, focused on self in alignment kind of week.
Sending you so much love, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.